Welcome everyone to the next lesson, number 4 in the Estimating Project Cost series. And in this lesson, it's entitled Types of Estimates During Construction. And we're going to focus on the organization of the estimate, the quantity takeoff, and the unit pricing. Quantity takeoff is real critical to a full unit pricing estimate. We're going to focus on the labor, the material, the equipment, and the subcontractor costs, basically all the direct costs of an estimate. And then we'll wrap up with, is permitting important in estimating? We're going to find out. So let's get started. This module is all about estimating project costs and types of estimates during construction. We're going to focus on 4 items: organization of estimate, quantity takeoff and unit pricing, material and labor costs, and finally, equipment costs and subcontractor work. And wrapping up with a real-world story about, is permitting important in estimating? So let's get started. Let's begin with the organization of the estimate. Once the design documents are complete, companies interested in actually performing the work price the project. Estimators working on this type of bid hope to win the job with the most competitive number while maintaining a reasonable profit for the company. This estimate is the most detailed of all estimate types and is also the most important. It carries with it legal implications. If it is bid in an acceptable manner, a construction company is legally bound to a specific price for a specific scope of work. During the actual construction, however, there is give and take over the individual prices of each piece of the construction. The contractor must continually negotiate with suppliers and subcontractors over these prices throughout the procurement stage. If the contractor is a good negotiator and has priced the project with an adequate contingency, then the final outcome should give the company a fair profit. Detailed estimates take weeks, sometimes months, to prepare and involve people from many different disciplines. A general contractor who is preparing a bid requests proposals from subcontractors and quantifies, that is, takes off and prices the work that will actually be done by his or her own workforce. Quotes from material suppliers, also called vendors, are used where possible to get precise material prices. When quotes cannot be obtained, contractors use company records and publish cost data. Current wage rates and perceived worker productivity are figured into these costs. Productivity is very important. The estimator must, in essence, build the project on paper. Hypothetical methods of construction, logistics of the site with its constraints for storage and maneuverability, and site space for subcontractors is important, including delivery strategies and the schedule of activities. All must be understood before a realistic price can be assembled. Good organization is key to preparing reliable estimates and avoiding mistakes. Preparing a detailed estimate is a complex organizational task. Many people, both inside and outside the company, are involved. Information comes from a variety of sources and must be carefully cataloged. The estimating team's goal is to minimize the number of company hours involved while preparing a competitive estimate. Eventual subcontractor bids should be apples to apples or all equal scope. To begin, adequate office space is set up, the right mixture of senior and junior team members are assigned, and procedures and forms are assembled. A notebook or file system is set up to track all activities, and much of this tracking is done with a computer estimating software program. The most important information for the estimating team comes from the contract documents, the plans and specs, which explain the scope of the work, the quality of the work, the conditions of the contractor is expected to meet, and the legal requirements of the job and the schedule of completion. By setting up a plan room in the office or some other central location, the contractor makes these documents available to subcontractors, and within the development of electronic communication, this plan room may be virtual. Now let's get into quantity takeoff and unit pricing. Once the estimating tasks are identified, categorized, and organized, the team begins the quantity takeoff. The quantity survey and takeoff is crucial. This is the foundation of the estimate. Its purpose is to adequately and accurately determine the quantity of work that needs to be performed on the project. Every work item is measured and quantified, separating the work into units of labor, material, and equipment. Most estimators use the CSI's Master Format 50 Division methodology. The goal of the quantity takeoff process is to calculate every item of the project, no more, no less. To effectively accomplish this, the takeoff must use the correct units. The process requires a thorough understanding of the work involved in each of the different disciplines of the project. Often the best approach is to build the project from item by item on the takeoff form and then quantify each item. Pre-printed takeoff forms which identify all the estimate items can serve as a checklist. The next task is to determine how much each unit will cost to produce, deliver to the site, accept and store at the site, and install in the correct position and maintaining until the project is turned over to the owner. Production of the product and delivery to the site are included in the material unit price. The cost of installing the product is part of the labor unit price. And finally, the equipment necessary to move the unit into place and install it is included in the equipment unit price.
Hi, I hope you're enjoying this free lesson from the University of Maryland's Project Management Center for Excellence. If you want to check out more lessons just like this one, click the link in the description below where you'll be able to go to our website on executive project management. There, you can find edX courses, professional short courses where you can learn from an instructor like me, as well as request custom team training for you and your organization. All right, let's get back to the lesson and I'll see you at the end.
Now let's talk about material and labor costs. Of all the prices that need to be identified, the material prices are usually the most straightforward to determine. The most reliable source is the supplier. However, the estimator must ensure that the price quoted actually covers all the specification requirements and the estimator's assumptions. The price of labor is the most difficult factor to determine because both the hourly wage rate and crew productivity must be considered. The wage rate is a factor of the rates paid to a specific trade. Union rates are available from the union locals and employer bargaining groups. Non-union labor rates are determined by each company and depend on the geographic area. In either case, wage escalation must be factored in, particularly on long-term projects. Union rates are generally negotiated for 1 to 3 years by each trade, so these agreements need to be researched. Once the quantity of work is known and the hourly wage determined, the last step in determining labor cost is to estimate how long the activity will take. Determining crew durations or productivity requires experience and the ability to visualize how the work will be done in the field. Past project experience is essential in determining these factors. Thus, in most offices, the quantity takeoff may be assigned to a junior estimator but senior members almost always determine the unit prices. Now let's review equipment costs and subcontractor work. Equipment, which includes small tools needed to complete a specific task, are covered item by item. However, large mechanically driven machinery such as cranes, tower cranes, mobile cranes, lift trucks, and the like are usually covered on a project basis because they often are used throughout the project for different activities. Equipment costs fall into two general categories: the equipment itself and the cost of operating it. Permanent equipment installed in the project to be furnished by other trades need to be estimated as well. The subcontractors bidding on the project break down the job into work packages, and contractors request bids from pre-qualified subcontractors for each package. Some general contractors do part of the work with their own workforce, that is, self-perform, and therefore do not request bids in these areas. It is important for the estimator to be in contact with the subcontractors during the bid period. This communication can minimize misunderstandings about the scope of work assumed by the subcontractor. It also encourages the subcontractor to put in a fair bid. When the bids arrive from the subcontractors, a debriefing session should take place to ensure that commonly missed items have been picked up. Some contractors' bids include labor, material, and equipment for the total scope packages and can be compared to the labor, material, and equipment established by the contractor. Those that come in with scope items missing must be viewed and estimated where scope is missing from a subcontractor's bid. And finally, let's talk about how is permitting important in estimating. Well, permitting is real critical. First of all, who pays for the building permits? And there could be multiple building permits and multiple buildings on the site. Who pays for it? Who's going to furnish it? And when? The timing is real critical. Are there multiple permits to be issued? And is the project going to be phased? That's another way of getting the project started if there's a delay on the full permitting. You could split up a building, for example, into foundation to grade as one permit if the building department will permit it, and then get a second permit from grade to top out. However, you need to orchestrate that very carefully, because if you get a permit from foundation to grade and then there's a delay in getting the second permit, what do you do with the workforce? Do you stop work? Do you demobilize and come back? Very disruptive and very costly. So if you split a building up into two permits, be real careful that you synchronize the timing very carefully.
Hey there, did you enjoy that lesson as much as I did? If you did, go ahead and give us a like. If you want to see another one, go ahead and subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, put them below and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Moreover, is there somebody in your life who really needs this lesson right now? If so, go ahead and share it with them. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Now, we look forward to seeing you in the next lesson, where you can learn even more from the University of Maryland Project Management Center for Excellence. Thanks so much.